Welcome to Aerospace from the Ground Up, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and into the hearts of the humans who bring aerospace to life. I'm your host, Nikki Malcolm, and in each episode, we will uncover the diverse and inspiring roles that make this industry soar. From technicians and supply chain experts to designers and machinists, we highlight the incredible variety of pathways that shape the world of aerospace. Join us as we dive into the journeys, challenges, and triumphs of the extraordinary individuals behind the planes. This is Aerospace from the Ground Up.
Welcome back to Aerospace from the Ground Up. I'm your host, Nikki Malcolm, and today we have a guest who is a true advocate for manufacturing in the aerospace industry. Joining us is Paul Van Metre, the co-founder of ProShop ERP and the host of Machine Shop Mastery podcast. Paul is dedicated to elevating the importance of the machine shop industry and revealing the secrets of success for machine shops all around the world. Before launching ProShop ERP, Paul was the president of ProCNC, an aerospace machine shop that set high standards for precision and innovation. He also serves on the board of the Pacific Northwest Aerospace Alliance, where he works to support aerospace manufacturing businesses to help them thrive. Paul, welcome to the show. Let's dive into your journey.
Hey, Nikki. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Yes. So we're just going to jump right in, and I want you to tell me this story about your career journey and start from the beginning.
Sure. So I'll start back when I was deciding to go to college. I started studying mechanical engineering because I loved cars. I was passionate about cars, and I thought that was the best way for me to learn how to design and build cars. So I started in a mechanical engineering program, and it was okay, but it was a little dry. I liked hands-on. I like to get my hands dirty. I like to build things, take apart things, fix and make things. And that first year of college, I read about another program way out on the other coast here in Washington State called the Vehicle Research Institute. And I immediately knew that's what my calling was. So I transferred schools, came out to Washington from Boston, which is where I was starting, and went to this program where we basically got to design and build cars. And we learned how to do CNC machining. We learned how to do composites. We learned some electronics, welding. It was CAD CAM, of course, for designing things. And it was so much fun that we decided to start a company when we graduated. So
Wow.
ProCNC was born right out of that college experience.
That's amazing. Did the college experience give you entrepreneurship advice, or was that just something that you were born with?
I don't think I had visions of being an entrepreneur when I was young, but yes, indeed, the program. And I apologize. I hope you can edit this part out. I need to clear my throat.
No problem. I had to grab some water last time because I was dying.
I know the more it messes up, the harder the editing tasks are. I had something spicy for lunch, and it's definitely messing with my.
We'll put that in the guest prep next time. No spicy food before.
All right. So yes, I didn't intend to be an entrepreneur, I don't think, when I was a kid, but what the Formula SAE program, which is the program that I got really involved with. So every year we would design and build a brand new car, and the entire team was led by students. There wasn't any real student or any real faculty oversight very much at all. So yeah, we had to learn how to fundraise. We had to learn how to organize a team. We had to learn how to have meetings, how to set schedules, how to plan out all the work we were going to do, and eventually, rent a U-Haul or find something that a parent had and get ourselves to Pontiac, Michigan, where the competition was. And it was a great sort of learning experience for entrepreneurship, quite honestly. So yeah, I guess that's where we got some of it. And then just the passion for manufacturing was instilled in us so deeply in that program as well.
Does that program still exist?
It does. It exists all over the country. There are all sorts of, there are probably more than 100 or so universities that still compete today. In fact, there might be quite a bit more. I know there's competitions on the West Coast and on the East Coast. It's definitely grown in the 30 years or so since I did it. But yeah, it's called Formula SAE. So if you're listening to this, check it out, Google it, look for programs, in schools near you that have teams, and it is so much fun. They also have another variant called Formula, or I'm sorry, not Formula. It's called Mini Baja, and same kind of thing. Students build an off-road vehicle and then go race it against other universities. Also a ton of fun.
That's so cool. And it's so interesting too how everything that you described really applies to aerospace as well, almost directly. The composites, the manufacturing,
Absolutely.
CNC. How did you find that switch over when you made it? I know you weren't completely aerospace, but
Yeah, I mean, Pro CNC, the machine shop, was probably close to 70% aerospace. So
mhm,
and defense,
yeah,
uh, but yeah, so it was directly applicable. Most of the parts we made were for airplanes or some other types of rockets, perhaps. But yeah, when we did welding, we did design, we did all sorts of the same exact things we learned in school. We just did it, to sell it to our customers. So it was very
mhm,
applicable. We had to have people on the team that had sort of every role in aerospace, from salespeople and marketing people and people doing planning and scheduling and the actual CNC programming work, and then of course machinists and inspectors and people that did shipping and receiving, and we even had drivers. I mean, we employed, by the time we sold it, we had about 75 people, in so many different career paths. And some of them would switch between jobs. They'd do one thing for a few years and then they'd say, oh, I want to try it out, being in the purchasing department or the quality department. And the thing I love about it is that they're, you know, certain types of people with certain personality profiles, I'll call it, gravitate to certain types of roles and professions. And aerospace has a little bit of everything for everybody. I would say, you know, we had to have a real wide diversity of different people on our team at Pro CNC, and some of them, absolutely love the quality department because they're the types of folks that love checking off boxes and having things be really organized and having all the
yes.
paperwork absolutely perfect. And we had other
Yes,
people
that's a
that would
job I would never be able to do. By the way.
yeah, me either. Me either. And they had other people that would drive them crazy because they were, they love to be out selling and talking to people and marketing and networking all the time, and so there's a little bit of everything for everybody in aerospace.
Yeah, you talked a bit about that at the PNAA conference in February this year.
I
Can you
did.
touch on that a little bit about the different types of profiles and how
Yeah,
they fit in roles? Maybe someone would resonate with that.
yeah, I hope so. So what I would suggest people do is look up the Myers-Briggs personality profile system. It's a widely used system that's been used for decades, and you can take a simple little test, and I'm sure there's lots of them online, and it will tell you the sort of different personality types. And I think there's 16 of them that they kind of categorize. And one of them, for example, is called an ISTP. So there's 4 letters, and there's 4 types in each letter. So that's why there's 16 of them. And ISTP would be an introvert, a sensing person. So whether they're sensing or intuitive. Um, uh, I forget the others. I wish I had them all at the top of my head here. But that type of profile is what I have been and what I was. And those types of folks generally love things that are hands-on. So they'd be great machinists, they'd be great welders, they'd be great technicians or assemblers. They like to work autonomously. They like to follow sort of instructions and troubleshoot things and figure it out. So if you can learn about Myers-Briggs, take the test, and then you can research, what types of jobs are good for whatever type of personality that you end up testing like. And doesn't mean necessarily you'll absolutely love it, but it gives you an idea that generally is pretty spot on. And it gives you just, I think, a better jump into a career path that might really resonate, that just kind of fits, just feels right to you.
I love that. And I saw so many people nodding heads when you were giving that speech. And I think it really made a lot of sense to people and how, sometimes it can be hard to see yourself in an aerospace job. And especially if you've never had anybody in your family or known anybody. That was the case for me. And so understanding and knowing how you would fit in there, I think is a really critical piece of it. So what advice would you give young Paul about starting a career in aerospace? If you had to rewind, what advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple things. I mean, I happened to just fall into something that I knew I loved, right? I know that's not true for everybody. Sometimes they graduate from high school and they're like, I don't really know what I love, right?
Yeah.
And that is a harder place to be in. So I would say definitely, take the test. There's also, career coaches that can kind of help you think about different types of jobs that you probably don't even realize exist. There are so many jobs that are just such a great fit for certain people that unfortunately they just don't know that even exists. So learning about what's out there is a big part of it. And I would say one of the important things about building building a career is networking. I heard this term once that your network is your net worth.
Yes.
And the more people the more you get out there and learn and share, the more you're going to make connections that can introduce you to other people or to jobs or to companies that might be hiring and just other opportunities. So, I know that PNA obviously has lots of events, and we welcome students and we welcome young people often for free to just come and learn and get exposed to the industry. So I would say definitely do that. There's no better way to learn than to just get yourself out there. And even if that doesn't feel comfortable to you, if you're a little bit more introverted and a little shy, this industry is the warmest, most welcoming people I've ever met. So there's lots of other people that are just like you that are also nervous to be out there, but they push themselves past their comfort zone. They get out there, and it turns out to be just fine. And they find people that they just connect with and have a great time meeting and learning from.
I love that. And one of my favorite stories, and I'm pretty sure you were part of this, was at Women in Aerospace when we had students come in and there was a young woman, first time coming to any event like that. And the community really rallied around her. By the end of the day, they had her set up with a LinkedIn page and we're all connected with her. And that warmed my heart so much to see the evidence of the things that I already knew, because I joined the industry when I was really young and had the same type of experience. And so I love that. And I love the community for it, because it's, sometimes from the outside, it can appear like this hard to crack industry. But once you get in and you take that first step, the industry just really rallies around students. I've seen it time and time again.
Yep. Yeah, I was part of that story. And to make it even better, she came to the most recent Women in Aerospace event. She actually flew back from Hawaii
I didn't know that.
just to attend the event. So
yeah,
got to see her there, introduce her to our team. It was really cool.
That makes me so happy. So, what are the most rewarding aspects of your career?
Well, I would say back in the machine shop days, it was the physical making of things. It was so cool to take a big chunk of metal and turn it into something incredibly beautiful and precise. In fact, there's parts right behind me. I presume most people are watching this on video, not audio. Is that right?
Both.
Some of each. So
Yeah,
right
some of
behind me,
each.
there's some beautiful machine parts that many of them are from Pro CNC days. And just to see, taking something from a raw material to a finished precision good that we know is going to go into the cockpit of an airplane. And it was really cool to even see those in person. So I got to fly on a 787 the first time, and I walked through the door, and the door hinges, holding the passenger door on, they were made at my shop. And that was such a cool feeling. And then these days, since I don't physically make things, we make software. The most rewarding part for me is having a positive impact in small businesses that are the same types of companies. They're making all these parts for everything in the world, and we can help make their businesses more efficient, more profitable. They can hire more people, their businesses can thrive, and that helping of people just absolutely warms my heart. I just love it so much.
And I love hearing from people in the industry about the impact that you're making. I've heard so much about the incredible impact that ProShop is having in their businesses. So it's amazing.
It's a true honor. It's a true honor. Yeah.
So what trends and changes are you seeing in the industry that excite you?
Well, technology adoption, I'd say, is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And it's a little, quite honestly, behind some of the other industries. So we're
Mhm.
trying to help push that, of course, ourselves with our software, but it's really accelerating right now. There's so much use of robotics and AI and high tech software and automation that, a shop these days, a lot of them look more like laboratories.
Mm.
They're brightly lit. They have really cool high end equipment, um, and the people helping run the facilities, they're more like they're software engineers, they're technicians that are helping program robots and keep
Mm.
machines running, or they're using software to program the actual machines. And it's machining has for decades now has been mostly CNC machining, which is computer numeric control. So the machines themselves are very automated and computerized, but all the
Mhm.
supporting systems around them now are just more and more advanced. And quite honestly, when we go into shops that are adopting our technology, the people often leading the charge are the youngest people in the shop, right? They are
Yes.
excited about technology. They want it. Those robots are so cool. They grew up playing video games, and this is almost like a real world video game right in front of their eyes.
Yeah.
And so I'd say that's one of the biggest trends we're seeing today.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because my next question was actually going to be, what role do you see the next generation in playing a part in that? And it's such a big thing because so many companies don't have that focus. And I think that bringing that next generation in is part of what will initiate that and light the fire there, when the people, the younger generation that are so used to being involved in technology. And I've seen that multiple times in our members where, a new next generation person comes in and they start implementing technology in a way that they weren't before, which is incredible. So, if for the people listening, if you see companies that don't have that, you can be a part of that. You get to be a part of this change that we're having over in the industry right now. That's very exciting.
Yeah, and in fact, I'd say a lot of the older folks in the industry that maybe started these businesses, they're often really hungry and excited for young people that want to help them take those steps. They
Yeah.
may not have grown up with that, but they understand that it's necessary, and they often welcome someone that has fresh ideas and is really excited and sort of a digital native that can just
Yes,
naturally learn and embrace this stuff really well. And it can really make
definitely.
a big difference in those companies. So lots of opportunity there.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. It does. It makes a huge impact. And you have the ability to come in and impact companies pretty quickly in your career by doing that, and by staying ahead of that and recommending things. And I think that's a big part of it too, is not being afraid to recommend or ask questions when you come into these shops about, what if we did it this way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what's a common misconception that you want to clear for people about careers in aerospace?
I guess it's the sort of age-old misconception that manufacturing is that happens in dark, dirty warehouses or
Mhm.
factories that are greasy and oil stained, and you'll slip and fall or you cut your arm off. That could be farther from the truth these days. Like I said, there's so much automation, there's so much computer technology, there's so much robotics. AI is now, of course, infiltrating the whole industry,
Yeah.
and it's just really high tech. And there there's a wide range of the population that just really jives and thrives with hands-on type of work, right? They
Yeah.
just kind of get, if you're the kind of person that gets bored in school really easily and you kind of daydream a lot, and like I did, and you just find that something that you can apply yourself and troubleshoot and learn, and um, that is there's just so much opportunity to do that
Yeah.
in these modern facilities these days.
That's amazing. I completely agree. And it's getting more and more every day for sure. So, if we could for a second, let's talk about a time that you had a challenge in your career and how you overcame that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I will share probably the largest and earliest one. So we were about 3 years into our machine shop. The year was late 2001, early 2002, and the 9/11 incident had just happened,
Yeah.
which was a devastating thing to the country. And our workload almost entirely dried up, right? Like I
Yeah.
said, we were mostly aerospace. They stopped building planes for a little while. Our customers stopped placing orders with us.
Yeah.
And we had about, I think, probably about 15 people at the time, and we had to lay off probably more than half of them. And
Wow.
it was so hard because those people were like family to us.
Yeah.
And, you know, me and my partners, you know, we went without pay for probably more than a year, which was also hard. Thankfully, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, you know, supported us because she was doing good. But that was a really hard time. And, you know, one of the things I learned is seeking help was the answer. You know, we eventually got hooked up with a business advisor associated with our local university, and without the help from that guy Tom and his team, we would have gone out of business
Wow.
and wouldn't be here today. So it was tough, but you know we stayed curious. We were gritty. You know, we kept
Yeah.
fighting for it, kept working hard, and made it through that time. Hired most of those people back, thankfully. You know, and then grew, you know, the company, and then eventually this company as well. So, but it was a hard lesson to learn for sure.
It's such an important one. And, you know, ironically, I think that the younger that you are, the more difficult it can be to ask for help, right? The older, at least in my experience, it's the older I get, the faster I am to ask for help because I've battled it for too long where you just wait too long to ask for help. So I'm glad you say that. It's advice I love to give to people as well.
Mm-hmm.
And last question, this is something that we're going to ask everybody that comes on is what did you want to be when you grew up? And how does that compare to what you do today?
Well, like I said, I wanted to design and build cars.
Yeah.
And well, I did that in college. I obviously don't do that today, but I would say that, you know, I get my fix of my car passion through other ways. And the passion I've now found for helping people and helping their companies and helping the industry is so much more rewarding
Mm,
than than designing car parts. Um, the way I like to describe the difference between the machine shop is when we would deliver a batch of parts to our customer, you know, they were pleased that they showed up on time and the quality hopefully was good and the paperwork was right, and it kind of made their day, right? Maybe the buyer or the purchasing agent that was buying from us, and they're like, "Thanks for delivering the parts. You know, we'll send you another order later." And that was great, you know, and the physical making of them was really fun. But today, when we can, you know, help a business that's struggling, maybe it's a family-run business, husband and wife team, and you know, 20 employees, and they're struggling with low profit margins and rough time with throughput, and we can come in and help their business really turn around, have a real transformation to the point where they can start. Hiring more people or go on vacation for the first time in years or buy more equipment, that feels so incredible, and
mm.
it's way more satisfying than I think, you know, designing a car part. So I'm really glad that I ended up where I ended up.
I love that. And it's so exponential, right? The impact that you're having in those businesses extends out to the entire industry and beyond that. I love that. Well, thank you, Paul, so much for joining us today. I very much appreciate you.
Nikki, thank you as well for doing this. It's a great project that you're embarking on, and I wish you all the success and hope it reaches thousands and thousands of young people and it makes an impact for them.
Thank you.